All right. Welcome everybody. I have 12:30 on my clock here, so I want to be respectful of everyone's time and go ahead and get started with our open house. This is being recorded too and will be posted on our webpage. So if you want to go back and review later, or if you have friends that weren't able to make it and maybe would like to review the information, it will be available there. So I'm Dr. Morgan-Bathke, and Jamie Weber is also on our call today. I'm the Dietetic Internship Program Director, and I facilitate the MNT rotations. And Jamie is actually our coordinated program director, but she facilitates the community rotations for the internship. So she was kind enough to join us today and share a little bit about herself as well. So we wanted to start out by sharing a little bit of information about ourselves. I graduated from University of Wisconsin-Stout in their dietetics program. And I also had a Spanish minor and was fortunate enough to be able to study abroad in Sevilla, Spain. And we now actually have an opportunity to complete some of your supervised practice hours in Spain in a sports nutrition emphasis for the last few weeks of your internship, if that's something that you're interested in. Really great opportunity that we've been able to add. My PhD is in nutritional sciences from the University of Arizona, and I also completed my dietetic internship when I was in Tucson through the Carondelet Health System. And I'm a new-ish mom. I say that because my daughter's 16 months old now, so maybe not so new anymore. And I have some pictures here of me and my husband when I graduated at Stout. My daughter last summer for her first 4th of July, she looks quite different now and is up and moving. This is when I graduated from the U of A and my advisor there. And then this is me a few years ago now, but with the executive board of the Minnesota Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. I'm very involved in the academy now at the national level, and I feel like it's very important for interns to get involved as well. So my clinical experience started when I was an undergrad, actually. I was a nutrition assistant at Mayo for 5 years in Rochester, and started out on a regular med-surg floor, moved into cardiovascular disease, and then was able to specialize in pediatrics and get involved with the pediatric and neonatal NICU. So some really great learning experiences. As I mentioned, I did my internship in Arizona through the Carondelet Health System and got to work with a wide spectrum of individuals from Hispanic individuals to Caucasian to Native American. I got the opportunity to provide home-based care on 2 different Native American reservations, which was very interesting and eye-opening. And I specialized, my internship specialized in medical nutrition therapy. And then I specialized in critical care and dialysis or renal nutrition. And so that's why I facilitate the MNT rotations, because that really is my area of expertise. Currently, I do weight loss counseling at Mayo Clinic in Rochester. And I also recently started doing some telehealth and content expert work with Vita Health, which is a telehealth program. I primarily help them with their weight loss and type 2 diabetic management education there. And so you kind of see why I facilitate MNT, that's really my area. This is my daughter last Halloween with the pumpkin that's much larger than she is. My husband and I traveling to the Minnesota Vikings Packer game a few years ago. You can see we root for opposing teams, but we still make it work. And then this is me and some of my friends from my doctoral work. We participated in the Dia de los Muertos parade in Tucson, which was really cool, really neat experience. So my research I do both at Mayo in Rochester as well as here at Viterbo. You do have to do a research project as part of your dietetic internship that is a really great learning experience. But my research focuses on adipose tissue inflammation, insulin signaling and fat metabolism, and how dietary interventions can make a difference in that. So I've done a pecan intervention, a vegetarian diet, a kombucha, and kind of all sorts of things in between. That's actually where I do my weight loss counseling at Mayo as part of my studies to see how weight loss impacts inflammation. And so there's my daughter when she was really, really little. Our friends at the Vikings Packer game. This is actually a group of students that did the pecan study, and we traveled to Chicago so they could present their research at a national conference. And then that is me and my best friend, Michelle. I really like traveling. So that's when we went to Ireland a few years ago. So a little bit about me personally. I love spending time with my family. You can see my husband and my daughter in the pictures here. We actually, as I mentioned, I love traveling. So before she was 1, we went to Philadelphia for Fancy, that you see here. And then we went to Las Vegas for the obesity week. And then we went to visit my brother in the Cayman Islands. And then COVID happened. So there hasn't been any traveling since then, but at least she got a lot in her first year. I also really enjoy walking. I have, I bring my daughter, my husband, and then we have 3 dogs as well. So we have like a little caravan that I feel like now that we walk with. And before I had my daughter, I really enjoyed reading and painting. I still managed to get some time in for reading, not so much for painting anymore, but that's a little bit about me. And I will now let Jamie take over and tell us a little bit about herself.
All right. Hi, everyone. So my name is Jamie, and a little bit about me. I graduated from Viterbo's coordinated program in 2002, and then completed my master's in professional development from Winona State in 2014. So I was out in the workforce for a good decade before I went back for my master's. You'll see a picture of my family here. That's my husband, Nick, and then my 2 kiddos. Delia's now 5.5. She'll be 6 next month. And then Matthias is 4.5. He'll be 5 in February. And then just a couple more pictures of the kids reading, and then Delia at school last year. So some of my experiences. So I'm kind of on the opposite end of Maria, where she has more MNT experience. I have more experience in the community realm, hence why I focus more with the community nutrition aspect of the program. So fresh out of school, I just wanted a job in the field. So I was a nutrition tech at Vernon Memorial Hospital in Viroqua for a couple of years, actually. And then in 2004, I got my first dietitian job working for the Ho Chunk Nation. So I worked, I did home visits with families, which was really eye-opening because I feel when people come into an office, they can kind of put on their best front, but when you're in somebody's home, you really see how they're living and just kind of what their accommodations are. So I did home visits with the Ho Chunk Nation families, and then I worked with the HYFP program, which was the Ho Chunk Youth Fitness Program. So it was an after-school program where I worked with kiddos ages 5 to 18. I did nutrition education lessons with them twice a week. And then provided a healthy snack. Then I was the nutrition director for the years after that until I left. I was a dietitian at Riverside Corporate Wellness for about a year. I've also done 14 or maybe even 15 years of WIC, more on a contracting basis. So I've always had either a full-time or part-time job as a dietitian and then contracted on the side. I've done long-term care for a couple of years. There was also a period in there, it was like 7 months, not quite a year. I worked at Vernon Memorial Hospital as an inpatient dietitian. And then I've also done some Organic Valley contracting. You've probably heard of the Organic Valley products. So I worked with their wellness program, and I actually went into the Cashton office site and did nutrition counseling with their employees. And then now I've completed 5 years at Viterbo, and I'm starting my 6th year. So you'll see some of the pictures over here. Like Maria, pre-kids, I really love to travel. So there's a picture with me and Regis and Kelly. I got to go to the taping. That was back in 2010, so a decade ago. And then you'll see the Great Wall of China. So when I was doing my master's program, I did a travel study, and we got to go to China. Swimming with the dolphin, that was in Mexico, and then just some fun pictures of the family. So this was us Halloween last year. And then my dog Zoe was a little witch there. And then, so I think I already mentioned Nick's my husband, and I have Delia and Matthias, and then Zoe. I enjoy just being with my family, being a mom. I love my vanilla lattes, and then just being in nature. So I love taking the kids on walks or to the park or to the bike park, just being outside. I really find peace with that. You'll see some more pictures of the family. The picture in the middle is actually our internship class a couple of years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, because my kids look really little. Matthias must have been 2. So they were doing a kids cooking class. So I volunteered my kids to come and participate, and they had a lot of fun with it.
All right, so to get into the application process, we do use DICAS. And I have what we require, perhaps in order of importance, or at least what we look for the application. So in your personal statement, we want to make sure that you are sharing with us what you can bring to the program and why you chose Viterbo. We do have a community nutrition emphasis, so mentioning that and how you think you could fit in there. Then we look at letters of recommendation. So, do your professors, your previous employers have good things to say? And then we look at work and or volunteer experience. So do you have experience in nutrition? Did you, have you worked in a hospital, or did you volunteer and do some shadowing with a dietitian? Did you volunteer for like your student dietetics association? Did you do more than just go to school for 4 years? Then we look at course grades, and we look obviously a little bit more at your nutrition courses than others. And then last is the GPA. We have found that having a 4.0 GPA doesn't necessarily make the best intern. And so that's why we weigh these first 3 very heavy in our evaluation of your application. This is a little bit small, but it is on our website as well. This just goes through the internship cost, which includes tuition, and then we also have a breakdown of what you might expect for housing costs, transportation, etc. So I would encourage you to take a look at that on our webpage to get a better look. The other thing that we are able to offer as an option of our internship is our online Master's in Nutritional Sciences program. So if you have applied to the Master's in Nutritional Sciences and are accepted into that program, you get priority acceptance into the internship. So you get bonus points when we review your application if you let us know that you have applied to our master's program. This program is completely online, so you'll start it when you start your internship, and then you would be finished a year after you graduate, which is the nice part about it being completely online, is that you can go work anywhere when you're done with your internship and still finish your master's. We're getting very close to the deadline of 2024 when it's going to be a requirement. Of course, when you graduate from the internship, you'll be able to be a dietitian and be grandfathered in, but you are getting closer to that deadline. We offer 3 emphases. So we have our core master's courses, and then you can get an emphasis in medical nutrition therapy, community medical dietetics management. That involves a lot of like healthcare management type courses, or sports nutrition. And then Kelsey McLymans is the graduate program director. I have her contact here if you're interested in learning a bit more about that program. The nice thing about doing your internship with a university is that we are unique in that you can use financial aid for the entire internship program. The internship is at the graduate level, so you get a whole new realm of student loans that are available to you that aren't available at the undergraduate level. And so financially that has been really beneficial for our interns. And there is information on our website. You can contact financial aid and they'll give you an idea of what you would have to pay out of pocket versus what your financial aid may look like for that. So for the internship itself, we have 4 phases. Our first phase we lovingly call boot camp. So it's a 4-week session. The first week is online and really like heavy in reading and getting ready for projects. And then the next 3 weeks, you're face-to-face with us, completing a variety of MNT and community nutrition projects. So for MNT, there's a lot of lectures. We use Ergo, which is basically like a virtual medical record, and you go in and are able to view the patient's chart, and it looks exactly like Epic. If you're not familiar, that's what a majority of hospitals use now for charting. So we actually used it for the first time this summer, and the interns loved it. They went to their MNT rotations and were like, this looks exactly like our charting does. It really prepared us. So that's a nice piece. And then we also have a simulation lab on campus. So we can do a simulation of you walking into a patient's room if you don't have hospital experience. And we do this because we always have interns from throughout the entire country. And so their level of experience is different. And we use boot camp to make sure that everybody is on the same playing field and ready to start their rotations fresh. So for the community portion, you'll get oriented to the facilities in the area like WIC, Wafer, Boys and Girls Club. You'll have tours of those, and then you'll also get training on health screenings like body composition, blood pressure, the cholesterol and fasting blood glucose. You'll get training on that and be tested out on all of those things. So you're ready to hit the ground running with community. Some other highlights from boot camp. As Jamie mentioned, we have Organic Valley and kind of in our backyard of La Crosse. It's about 45 minutes away. So we do an organic tour where you tour some organic farms, and then we tour Organic Valley and their process, and we see their wellness program, which is kind of an amazing wellness program. We have Public Policy Day, which is the picture you see here. So we all travel to Madison, and you guys pick a public policy topic that you're interested in. One year we did malnutrition. Another year we did getting like education in schools. So it can kind of be whatever you're interested in, and you go and report about this topic to, well, Senator Schilling is actually no longer going to be, we're in the middle of an election, so we don't know who it'll be next year, but we'll go and meet the state senator, and you guys, present your case, and really great experience for working on public policy. And then, as I mentioned, like Ergo has really been a great addition that the interns really love. Phase 2 and 3 are going to be the fall and spring semester. So boot camp we do all together. We generally accept 16 interns into our class. We split the intern into 2 groups. So 8 of you will do community in the fall, and the other 8 will do MNT/food service in the fall, and then you'll swap. So if you did community in the fall, you'll do MNT in the spring. If you did MNT in the fall, community in the spring. And then phase 4 is your final rotation. So that's the beginning of the first summer session. And this is, depending on what rotation you're doing in the fall, this will be your final rotation of either community or MNT. So for the MNT rotations, you do food service together with those. It's generally 32 hours a week of MNT and 8 hours a week of food service. So it's heavy in MNT, but we do have to get those food service hours in. And in addition to going to your clinical sites, we have online discussions and then monthly post-clinical meetings to check in and see how those, everything's going. I have a list here of our MNT and food service sites that we generally use every year. So we use a couple of the VA, we use the Mayo Clinic, we use Gunderson, some other facilities in the area. If you're interested in like federal practice, we do have a site in Rochester for that. We also, this isn't necessarily an all-inclusive list. We regularly work with interns to help get them placed where they would like. So we have an intern this year from Michigan that really wants to be home in Michigan. And so we were able to identify sites for her so she can do her MNT rotation there. So that is an option. Jamie and I have gotten really good at finding new sites that can kind of tailor your interest for that. And now I'll let Jamie take over and share about the community rotation.
All right, yep. So while you're with me, completing your community nutrition rotation, the first half of the semester, so about 8 weeks, you'll be with me. So I'll be your instructor as well as your preceptor. We do a lot of projects within the community. The purpose of the projects that I develop for you the first half of the semester is to just get you acquainted with the nutrition resources within the La Crosse community. I know not everybody's going to end up staying in La Crosse. However, it's just to bring about that awareness of the different tools and services that are out there. So wherever you do get a job, make sure you can kind of figure out what your community nutrition resources are. But we work with the Boys and Girls Club, like Maria mentioned. We do a big food insecurity project where we have food pantries on campus, and so there's a $0 food dollar budget to restock those pantries. So we work with our food bank, the Hunger Task Force, and restock the food pantries, and then also try to figure out how to create healthy snacks and meals with foods that are picked up from the food bank. And I have you put together a little video and edit the video so we can share it on social media. What else do? We work with Wafer. That's our largest food pantry in the La Crosse area. So non-COVID times, we do live cooking demos there. Now that we're in COVID, we can't do the face-to-face demos there. I'm having students record, or the interns record their cooking demo presentations, and we're still sharing it with Wafer, and they can still get it to their participants. We present in daycares, school districts, really anything related to community that you can think of. Sometimes different fitness facilities will ask us to come in and present on a specific topic. And then the other piece that we actually start during boot camp, it's your community nutrition research project. And so you will pair up with a partner, depending upon how many we admit into the program. If we have an even number, you will have a partner. If we have an odd number, we'll obviously have one group of 3. But you will pick a topic that's of interest to you. And I'm trying to think what people, like I know people have done like malnutrition risk assessments. They've done a lot of college student focused research projects where they want to assess like fruit and vegetable intake. We have a group this semester that's looking at activity and alcohol consumption and diet. We have another group that's looking at like heel bone mass density. And I believe they found some research that plums are supposed to help prevent bone loss. And so they're trying to replicate that study. So the sky's the limit with whatever you would decide. And we can help you kind of figure that out too. But you would decide on that topic during boot camp. And we have you write up your whole research proposal during boot camp and get everything set. If you need to submit it to our IRB, our institutional review board, that's a whole nother process that we can talk about in boot camp, but that takes a little bit of time. So that's the first 8 weeks of the semester. And then the second 8 weeks, or the last half of the semester, you will be doing your final rotation in community nutrition. So that might be at a WIC clinic, it might be at a worksite wellness, it might be, some interns choose to do more like outpatient, like eating disorders counseling. Sports nutrition is big. So I have a list of sites that we work with, and I would ask that all the interns that are accepted into our program, I email everybody and have them rank their sites. And so I try to get you like one of your top 3 sites so that it's an area that you really want more experience in and you can see yourself working in that area. Oh, here we go. Here's some of the education sites that we work with the first half of the semester when you're with me. So like I said, Boys and Girls Club, WAFER, the Food Insecurity Project, the daycare. ADRC is our Aging Disability Resource Center. So that's our older population. We also work with the Strong Seniors Program. That's a program through La Crosse County where I don't know if it's those 55 and above, I want to say, they get together a couple times a week at a community site. It might be a community church or something like that. And they do fitness classes a couple times a week. So they will invite us into their fitness classes where we can talk to, those in that age bracket about a certain nutrition topic. The social media campaign, you actually work with the Festival Foods grocery store dietitians, and they precept this project, but they basically have you come up with a nutrition topic and they want it tied in with a certain like national event that might be going on, like National Breakfast Day, let's say. So then you would come up with a healthy breakfast recipe, easy, quick, on the go, and tie it into the breakfast day. You would record yourself and edit the video. So it just gives you a little bit more practice with social media. And then we do more social media, tasty cooking videos. You've probably seen the pictures with like the hands that are making a recipe. You guys will be masters at making those videos. And then the 2-minute take videos, it's you talking about a nutrition topic. And so we share that with our local partners as well. And then again, here's some community nutrition final rotation sites. Like I said, WIC. I didn't mention the Ho Chunk Nation, but they typically will accept 2 interns per rotation. Festival Foods or other grocery store dietitians. The U of M and UW-Madison performance dietitians will usually accept 1 intern each per semester. Corporate wellness, and then eating disorders, like I mentioned.
All right, so we do provide an exam review for the registration exam through Eat Right Prep. This is a work at your own pace online program. And you will have access starting in October of your internship until June. So you're done in May. You have access through the end of June, which hopefully you'll be scheduling to take your exam in the beginning of July. So it will get you through. They provide practice exams. You get 3 with the package that you get as part of the internship. And then you can purchase an additional 3 for about $30. It's very reasonable. We do require you to complete at least 1 practice exam prior to graduation. And there's also modules like flashcards and quizzes along the way that we ask you to complete, and we kind of guide you through that throughout the internship. We have a Student Dietetics Association on campus, and so you are required to be members of the SDA throughout the internship, particularly in your community rotation. And that helps us, 1, meet a mentoring competency, but it's also a really good fundraising event. The SDA is known for their apple pie sales and their spaghetti dinner sales and chocolate sales throughout the school year, and they make a lot of money that helps to pay for your RD exam prep, as well as if you'd like to travel to Fancy, Mand, or Wand for annual conferences. There's also a lot of social events and volunteer opportunities, so it's really good for networking and resume building. We will ask each semester for 1 intern to be the representative for the intern on the Student Dietetic Association. And so a great leadership, networking, resume builder for sure. All right, so we have a really cool assessment lab on campus, and I am going to run through a video of it here. So here's the outside of the assessment lab. It's on the second floor. You can see we have a hydroponic garden. We had to dismantle it for COVID, but it's an option for research projects if that's kind of something you're interested in. Our cholesterol is housed in that fridge in the back. We've got a nice classroom space. This is where you'll do a lot of your health assessment. Those rooms that you saw with the doors closed there, those are exam rooms where you can do body comp measurements, blood, finger pricks, those kind of things. And here's our counseling rooms. So you will, you can see there's a laptop in here. There's also a camera. You will record and or have Jamie and I watch live counseling sessions that you do in here. During boot camp, you have to do counseling sessions with a partner as one of the assignments in the internship. And then during the first 8 weeks of your community rotation, you'll do counseling with nursing students on campus, with athletes on campus, getting that outpatient experience. And then, as I mentioned, we've got those exam rooms where you do body comp measurements with nursing students, with athletes. You could use that for your research. Jamie mentioned, you know, we've got tons of options for the research. We've got Tanitas, Cholestex, Maltron, Cosmed, all sorts of cool toys that you get to use on the clinical side as well as on the research side. So this is our assessment lab that is really, really a great facility, a great asset to have. And then next I'm gonna walk us through our foods lab tour. So this is across the hall from our assessment lab. And this is where during your community rotation, you're gonna do a lot of cooking classes and cooking demos for our nursing students, for Boys and Girls Club, for Catholic Charities, the veterans. And so you can see we have a really nice facility here. We've got lots of stations where you can have your cooking class participants be hands-on. You can do your tasty videos in here. That screen there, there's actually a camera above the stove top that you see in the front. So it's kind of neat. You can like show the participants your stove as you're cooking if you want, and they can see it on that video screen there. So we are pretty proud of our assessment lab and our foods lab. They are really great resources that we are able to use quite frequently throughout the internship, and particularly during your community rotation, especially those first 8 weeks. And then here's our pantry too. We have got Instapots, and we've got all sorts of like cool cooking utensils and things that you could think of. So that is all that Jamie and I have. That's kind of the rundown of our internship program. And now I'd like to open it up and see if any of you have questions for us.
Hi, I have a question about the opportunity to go to Spain. Do we need Spanish language experience to participate?
Great question. No, you do not. Actually, we're hoping moving forward that we'll be able to work with the interpreting program on campus and have some interpreters come with us. Now, we do have interpreters in country and myself, but it's a good learning experience because you probably work with interpreters throughout your career. And so there are some lectures that go with that rotation. We'll teach you how to work with interpreters because it's a little bit of a learning curve, but speaking Spanish, not a requirement.
Okay, thank you. Oh, yeah, I do have one more. There's also one in the chat. What is something that's unique about your program?
I think the fact that Jamie and I work with the interns to individualize your rotation so you get the most out of it. So If you're interested in sports nutrition, we get you a sports nutrition rotation. If you're interested in eating disorders, we find you that. If you're interested in a specific area of MNT, I help you to find that and work in that area. If you're interested in being in a certain geographical location, like I mentioned, this year we have an intern in Michigan. We've had interns go to California, to Oregon, to Virginia, and everywhere in between. I think you'd be hard pressed, aside from like an ISPE where you have to set up your own rotations. I think that makes us really unique. There aren't really any other programs out there that work with interns to make it such an individualized program.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
There's a question in the chat, Maria. It asks, what are some of your past interns doing now? That's a great question. They're doing a variety of things, and Maria can add on too, but one of our interns from a couple years back, she had an interest in advocacy, and she has gotten a job. She's originally from New York, but she got a job with the state of Wisconsin DPI. So she's doing nutrition education for the state of Wisconsin and is involved, you know, at a state level with school nutrition. And she is just loving it. We actually have her name's Bridget. We actually have her speak to you guys during boot camp. We also have interns like in the community realm. We have a lot of WIC. Eating disorders. I think we've had a couple go into, you know, sports nutrition. They've gotten jobs right out of college or right out of the internship, which is pretty awesome. And the reason they were accepted or, you know, offered the position was because of their internship. They got that experience during their 8-week internship with a performance dietitian. So at a D1 school. So.
Yeah, so Jamie and I always try to encourage you to do your final rotation where you think you might want to end up working, because as she mentioned, you're like our graduates that are working in eating disorder clinics, they did an eating disorder for their final rotation and were offered a job. I mean, not all of them, but a couple of them. Same with the sports nutrition. We've got a lot of interns at Gunderson and Mayo in the area where they've gotten jobs after they've done rotations there. You know, we've got on the MNT side, we've got people doing inpatient, doing outpatient. We've got some that went and became dietitians at the university level. So they're doing like campus health, dining services. So, you know, we've kind of got graduates all over the place. And I think you'll find, you know, when we do boot camp, we have a lot of guest lecturers. Almost all of them are alumni because there's just so many in the program, and they're in such a diverse areas that we, you know, they love coming back and doing that. Same with our preceptors. You'll find that a lot of them are also graduates of our program because they, you know, they stick around the area and they love giving back to the program. So yes, past interns are kind of all over the place, which is great to have that. All right, well, if there aren't any more questions, we want to thank you all for joining us today. If you do think of something when you get off the call here, don't hesitate to email Jamie or myself. If you are interested, we are doing face-to-face campus tours right now, and you could come and meet with me face-to-face and see the assessment lab and the foods lab and all that in person. If it's something you're interested in, just shoot me an email. Otherwise, thank you all for your time, and I hope you have a great day.